for example, but no one's doing it for mugs that hold tea. Well, I'm not going to sell one that warms coffee. I'm going to do one for tea because no one's doing it. I know the need is there because people are buying it, but I'm doing it in a different way. I'm thinking about why do they need it? Because they want the liquid to be warm when they taste it. That's what I'm selling. I'm not selling the warmer. I'm selling what it does.
What's going on, everybody on YouTube and iTunes? Welcome to the Raiken Profit Show. This is episode number 22, and here we are with Seth Kniep, Knieping It Real. And title of the show is From $24,000 in Debt to $100,000 Selling on Amazon FBA. We got Seth Kniep from JustOneDime.com coming on. What's going on, man? How are you? Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me here, man. Really appreciate it. I have to tell you, I've seen your show long before I did YouTube. I saw your show, and it was awesome, and I used to watch it, and my son used to watch it, so it is really, truly an honor to be here. So thank you very much, man, for inviting me. I really appreciate it.
Awesome, man. I appreciate that, too, and I've been watching quite a bit of your videos for a while now, and obviously checking out your blog. And I'll tell you right now, you have a great energy about you, and you're very transparent. You share a lot of information, and you've been helping so many people. People kept asking me to bring you on, so here you are. And this is what, video 3 today, man. You're a madman. You had Andy Slamans on earlier. Big shout out to Andy over there. But you're a busy bee, so thanks for coming on, man. Let's dive into your story. So, you know, the title, From $24,000 in Debt to $100,000 on Amazon and beyond now. Let's talk about how you got started. You're in debt.
Sure.
Where are you at this point? And then you start finding out about Amazon.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So I used to work for Apple. I used to work for numerous corporations. I used to work for Xerox. I worked for FedEx Kinko's. And the last big company I worked for was Apple. And I started doing sales for them. Then later I moved over to manage a tech support team. We all worked from home, which was really nice. And I had a team of 20 to 25 people. Most of them are in the U.S. who I would manage. And we do all our meetings, you know, online over video. Learned a ton from Apple. I love the company. I'm actually on a Mac computer right now. I'm using a Mac keyboard. The biggest frustration for me was the corporatocracy that creeps into large companies. It doesn't mean all of Apple's like this, but the particular circles I was in, there was a lot of frustration. Innovative ideas were shut down. There were tasks that my manager was having me do that were completely pointless. I'll never forget the day she had me create a tracker to track tasks that tracked tasks. It was tracker inception. I thought, this is it's insane. Like, what am I doing? And I'll never forget the day I turned to my wife, and like, she was right over here, and I said, you know what? I said, I don't want to do this. Like, I can't live the rest of my life doing this. I'm tired of building someone else's vision. I want to do something different. I want to build something different for our family. And so that's when I decided I'm just going to set out and start. I just need to start something. And it was hard because on the inside, I felt sort of broken because finances is such a reflection that they interweave with your emotions. Mm-hmm. And I was $24,000 in debt. We had a whole lot of debt at that time. We had debt on our car. We had credit card debt. And that doesn't include the debt on our mortgage, which in most Americans consider that okay. That's not debt, right? So I'm just referring to non-mortgage debt. So I said, you know, if I was to take a single dime, and I love the dime, man, because it is the smallest, physically the smallest currency of American currency for its value. It's so small, yet it's 10 cents. You compare it to a nickel, you know, or even a quarter. Yeah. And I thought, if I go out and if I double this, how many times would I have to double it in order to get to a goal? And I don't know why, but the number 100,000 kept entering my mind. I thought, man, if I could just get to 100,000, that would be such a victory for me. And it seemed so impossible. You know, we would get bounced checks. We would have $2,000 in our account, then $3,000, then $1,500, then not enough money. And I was sick of living that. I felt like a ping pong ball going back and forth. And what's crazy about it, man, think about it. I worked for the wealthiest company in the world on salary. And to be totally transparent here, there were days when I was in the sales department, I made more money for that company in a day than they paid me in a year.
Wow.
And I just thought, if I can do this for them, why can't I do that for myself, you know? So Then I thought, if I could take a dime and if I just double it 20 times, and by that I mean, 10 to 20 cents to 40 cents to 80 cents, it's over $100,000 after 20 times. What would that look like? So I thought, to do this, I'm going to have to change. I need to test myself. And I think this is the hardest part of being an entrepreneur, is to rise to the challenge. We have to change and grow to get to that point. Like, our character, our inside, our heart needs to grow to reach that level. So I went out and I just started talking to people on the street, and I would show them a dime, and I documented it with video. My son followed me around with first it was an iPod. It was a terrible camera. And I felt stupid. I felt really dumb, but I knew in my heart I needed to just, it's like starting over, man. I mean, there was a point where I'm almost embarrassed to share this, brother. I stood on the street. I set up a table with a lemonade stand. I thought, I'll sell lemonade. And I started calculating, if I sell 10 a day, 100 a day, like whatever it took to make extra cash. And that didn't work very well. But so I took the dime and I started asking random people, would you help me to double this? And I got it all the way up to $400. So the last person I talked to, I had 200, and so he doubled it to 400. And that was how far I got just for asking. When people ask why, I would explain to them. I said, someday I want to show people you can start with nothing and build something. Because I knew there's so many people out there who feel the same way. So then I took the 400 and I started researching eBay and trying to understand, how does it work? And I don't even remember the name of the author, but I read this ebook on how to sell on eBay, and about half of it was helpful. The other half was kind of BS. And I just read it, and I started selling stuff on eBay. And I started with these little cremation urns that you hang around your neck, sort of like this, except this is an actual shark tooth.
Okay.
And it's like a little urn that holds ashes. And I just started selling them on eBay. And I noticed a lot of people sell these really well, so I can do the same. And then one day I thought, maybe I should try this on Amazon, because a lot of people say you could do this on Amazon. So I started selling it on Amazon. My wife and I went through our entire house, and we just looked at everything in the garage, the attic, every single room, and everything we didn't need, we said, we're liquidating it. Like, we really had to have a change mindset, change our life, change everything, live almost like a nomad, get rid of everything extra, and let's make this work. Let's really make this happen. We are all in. I had to have an all-in mentality, brother, because if I didn't, I knew, because think about it, from my stage in life, I was in my 30s. I'm still in my 30s, just barely. I have 4 kids. Right? I had 2 cars. I had a house with a mortgage. I knew that if it's harder for me at this stage where you're kind of settled to make a change. So for people who are my stage of life, it's really hard to make that shift. And I'm actually pretty young for having 4 teenager kids. I'm in my 30s still. But I had to do something as if I was in my teens or 20s. Like, I had to shift everything and I had to detach myself, detox, to really think about it new. Wow. You know what I mean? It's like a totally new mindset. And that mindset did something, man. It proved to myself I was all in. If I'm willing to talk to random people about doubling a dime and feel stupid doing it, such people say, no, I'm not doing that. It's like, dude, it's a dime. It helped me to get rid of my ego, get rid of all the stupid junk, and just really get serious about making this happen. So back to Amazon. So we started selling on Amazon. The urn started selling really well. And for me at that time, 10 a day, that was awesome. I would sit there and I would calculate, okay, 10 a day, if we grow and do this for this many months, this is how much, like, I was blown away at the opportunity. And these were FBA. Amazon was shipping them. And so that's when I started searching other products and researching and started adding to it and building it up. And we got to over 100,000. And we've gone way beyond then. But that point was when I said, okay, we did it. Like, we actually reached that milestone. And I thought, this is real. And then I can pursue this and give it all my heart. Fired my boss. So happy to do it. And man, it has been a crazy adventure since then. Not easy, but totally fulfilling.
Wow. That is absolutely amazing, man. That's a phenomenal story right there. Now, the one thing that stuck out to me is you made that commitment to yourself. You said to yourself, okay, I'm going all in. I realize that the cards are kind of stacked against me, right? Because, and I've even noticed it too, right? I just turned 30 years old, but I noticed the older I get, the harder it is to change my ways. It's harder to do things differently and adapt. So you went all in. What tips do you have for people who, maybe they want to start selling on eBay or start selling on Amazon, and maybe that's going to be a stepping stone to private label or whatever. How do you actually change that mindset? Because, you did it, but how did you do it? Was it the realization that you kind of knew that it wasn't that if you didn't do it, you were going to fail?
It was being willing to fail. And I think you touched on a key part. It's okay to fail. I had to accept the fact that I'm going to fail along the way in order to get to that goal. So it's almost like you're failing your way into success. If I'm not willing to fail, then I'm not going to take the risks I need to make. And the key is not that I failed, but did I get back up again? And that's the key, I think, for every entrepreneur is, are we willing to get back up again? And that's why I like to say, keeping it real. When I was at Apple, I was in a meeting, and we're in this meeting, and there was a lot of corporocracy going on, a lot of what they would say in New Jersey, they would call it BS, and a lot of just like people saying stuff that I knew wasn't real, it was genuine, it was a bunch of butt kissing. And so finally I said, guys, let's just be real here. And I just started, monologuing for a minute passionately. And one of my friends who was on that team, he's like, there goes Seth, keeping it real. And it kind of stuck. Now he says he needs to get licensing rights on that name because it's sort of a trademark now. But for me, it's about being realistic with yourself and with just being honest, owning your stuff. If I can say it, owning your shit. A lot of people aren't willing to do that. There's just this big ego over here, and like if they can't own their stuff, they're limiting what they can do.
What's that mean, the ego, though, in your mind when it comes to this?
Absolutely. So when I launch a product and it fails, am I willing to say, what could I have done better to not fail the next time? Instead of saying, exactly, oh, it was the tool, or oh, it was the market, or oh, the economy, or oh, it was the way I was raised or my culture. No, what can I do to make it different? And of course, there's people and things around me that are challenges. But at the end of the day, only Seth can control Seth's decisions. Therefore, Seth is 100% responsible for everything he does and says. And if I can simply accept that I'll make mistakes, but own those mistakes, then I can learn from them. But I don't want to be blind to that. You know what I mean? I'll just give you an example, brother. One of the key ways I built my empire, and I say that loosely, on Amazon, was by reading the reviews of competitors. So if I'm going to source this wine glass, I need to read the reviews of the competitors and find out what customers don't like about it. And therefore I can say, oh, what they're complaining about is they wish it was bigger or smaller or thicker or thinner or more clear or whatever it is. Now I can build a product that fixes the problem, which differentiates me. That principle alone helps me more than anything else in the world. That was long before I understood PPC and ad campaigns and cost per click and all that stuff on Amazon. That right there is what really got us going. The earns was more research on eBay, and it just so happened not to be on Amazon, and it sold like crazy for us. The rest of it was learning how to differentiate.
Yeah, I was just interviewing Jordan Kilburn with Millionaire Millennial. He has a big YouTube channel. I think he's almost about to hit 100,000 subscribers. And he had mentioned that a lot of these Amazon sellers, it's all copy and paste, quote unquote, right? It's like they find a product, they just copy it. Some people steal your titles, they'll steal your descriptions, and then it's just like plug and play, copy and paste. And I really agree with what you're saying, because that's from a lot of the people that are PL sellers. They say differentiate, create variants, read the reviews, create a solution. Maybe 3-4 years ago you can copy and paste, but now with the competition coming in, and I don't want to say competition in a bad way, because I think there's a lot more buyers coming in than actual sellers. If you're not improving, you're not really adding any value to the market. And what people need to realize is if you want to make more money, you have to give more value. And I think that's exactly what you're saying.
You're exactly right, man. And I think that what you just said is so key, because I think about Apple, and I respect the company so much. If you think about how it started, Steve Jobs had to give value to people. Well, my question to everyone listening is, if you are building an online business through eBay, through Amazon, through arbitrage, through private label, through wholesale, whatever it is, are you thinking more about what the customer needs or about what you like? And I know there's value, brother, in things that I like. I'm going to be better at selling because I understand them. But that sometimes can get in the way of asking the question, well, what does the customer want? Because what they want is king. That's what matters more than anything. And if I can provide a real value to them, and I understand, it's like you want to get in the mind of your customer, then I can build something that I know they're going to love. And sometimes I'm wrong and they don't love it. So I have to test it, change it, tweak it, come out with a new version of it before then it finally starts selling. And just one more thought I want to encourage your audience with is, I know some of you guys, you just launched, and some people, they're discouraged for 2 months. They're not seeing results, or they're very slow. Man, there are still products we launch. Our goal is to launch a new product every month. We don't always reach it, but that's our goal. There's some products that are doing really well today. It took them almost a year before they started
Really?
selling really, really well. It was a very slow climb to finally getting to a point where we had it right. It was tweaking photos, it was changing keywords, and sometimes it was just waiting for it to start picking up. Even with PPCI campaigns, it took a while. So there's one of the coaches on our team, his product that he started a year ago with Just One Dime. He started it out. For the first 6 months, it hardly sold at all. As of this month, and I know it's Christmas season, so this is a little bloated, he's doing 50 a day. So, in January, he'll get back down to probably 35, maybe 40 a day. But still, if I think about it, like, that's long-term thinking. Eventually, your work pays off if you're thinking about your customer. Not all products are just going to take off like that. And when people say they do, I think it gives people false hope, and I don't want to do that.
That's cool. That's really, really encouraging. And I'm glad you kind of mentioned that, because a lot of people, do have a ton of success, and there's people who could make millions within a couple of years with Amazon. And then there's people who struggle, right? It really depends on, who's your inner circle. Did you get coaching? Are you trying to do it all on your own? The product that you chose. So really exciting stuff. I got a lot more questions for you. I do want to let everybody know, though, right now, if you're listening on iTunes or if you're watching on YouTube, be sure to check out Seth. He has a YouTube channel. He also has a blog as well, and I'm going to link all that up down below for you guys. So definitely be sure to check it out, justonedime.com. You can check out a lot of free content. You can check out his coaching program. He works with 8 coaches, and that's what he's really, really good at. So if you are looking for a really good Amazon coach, definitely check out the blog. There's more information over there. And your YouTube channel, is it under Seth Kniep, or is it under Just One Dime?
Yeah, I almost say Google, it's funny, but if you YouTube search, Google either Seth Kniep or Just One Dime, it'll come up. I think it's technically Seth Kniep, and we tried to change it, but then we were afraid to because of indexing and its ranking, so we're just going to leave it Seth Kniep. But yeah, Just One Dime or Seth Kniep, either one, it'll come up first.
Yeah, you had a really cool interview today, and I definitely want everyone to go over to your YouTube channel and check it out. You interviewed my good friend Andy Slamans, and I believe he's up to, does he have one, or he has 2 products now that are selling $1 million per year? 2 brands, right? 2 brands, I believe. Is it a brand or a product?
Two actual, sure, but 2 products, and each one is doing over $1 million in revenue each.
It's crazy. It's just crazy. So let's kind of go back a little bit more to your story, because that's what I'm really interested in sharing with everybody who's listening right now. So you ended up quitting your job. You were working for Apple at that time, but while you were still working there, you were building up the Amazon business. Is that correct? Because you didn't quit until you actually had gotten that success. So you were selling those 10 items per day on Amazon, FBA. Now you quit your job. When do you quit your job? Is it when you got to 10 a day and you were able to pay the bills or whatnot, or maybe you had money saved? I don't know. Is that when you quit your job, when you got up to 10 a day, or were you doing other things as well?
Yeah. So we waited until we were making enough money to live on and then some before I fired Apple. However, and I reached out to some people for advice on this too, because there's different circles of thinking on this. It sounds super romantic and awesome to, like, I'm just going to fire my boss. I'm going out with nothing. I'm just going to build my wings on the way down. And I love that. If you don't have a lot of people depending on you, I got 4 kids and I'm married. So the risk for me is greater. So I had to make more of a calculated decision. But then the question is, well, what do you do about your job? Because your heart's here, but I still have this responsibility to my job. And someone put it this way. They said, Seth, don't leave your job, bend it till it breaks.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I did. I made this my priority. I did bare minimum over here. This may be horrible advice, man, so tell me if this is crazy. But I really just did bare minimum over here, and I just put my heart into doing everything I could to build this up as fast as I could. Because at the end of the day, are they going to suffer greatly if they lose me? No. Will my family suffer greatly if I don't make this work? Yes. So I have to count the cost. If someone's going to hurt, it's not going to be my wife and my kids or my dog, because he's awesome. He's an awesome dog.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what I did. So I worked really, really hard on this until we were making more than enough than what we were making over here. And then that's when I fired my boss. We also started doing real estate. We started doing Airbnb, short-term rentals here in Austin. That became another stream of income. So it works like this. It's messy, but it was awesome. I still have the envelope, man. I should get it out to show you. I still have the envelope where I put in a dime. Then I came home and I had a few dimes. Then I came home, had a few dimes. Like, I wanted to remember this moment so that people out there who are saying, I can't do it. You know, how much is in your savings? 2,000? You had a lot more than I did. You could do it, you know. But the way it worked is I doubled the dime to 400. I used that to start on eBay. Then I started on Amazon. Then we sold everything in our house we could. We just kept building it from there. Then we started private labeling, and we just kept going and going until that was 100,000. Then over time, that became over 1 million. So I can truly say, and this isn't some egotistical statement, I'm a millionaire. Thank you to Amazon. And let me go back. Before we got to the million, when we got to the 100,000, that's when we started investing in real estate, because we wanted more streams of income. Because I believe in differentiating not just your product, but your sources of income. So you're not just depending on one. What if something bad happens with Amazon? That's why I have 4 Amazon stores. Because what if something bad happens with this one? I still have these 3. And these are all separate identities. Now we're getting really shady. These are all separate identities.
I get it. I actually get a lot of people asking, because when I had I started a Kindle publishing business on Amazon. This was about 4 years ago.
Right.
And I had over 100 books on one account. I started saying to myself, holy crap. And those are each book is a different entity. I'm like, what if something happens to one of these books?
Right.
My whole account's going to get taken down. So I ended up selling under my personal name and then opening 2 more LLCs to protect myself, because each LLC essentially was a new identity.
Right.
For Amazon, when you're selling as an FBA seller, private label, or just selling on Amazon in general, how difficult is it to get approved for a new store? Because I know if you go, from my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, if you open up a new store without their permission, they could just kick you off completely. How does that work?
Yeah. So you can apply, and if you apply, it's a very hard, long, arduous process in my experience, because what you do is you have to give them a legitimate business reason for doing so. So if my reason is, well, you know, if something goes wrong with this store and you guys kick me off, I want to still be on. That's not going to fly very well. So there are other ways. I have to decide how much to share here openly and publicly. There are other ways of doing it where you can, let me just put it this way. You can open up a corporation, which gives you even more cushion between you and that identity. That corporation has its own name. It doesn't have to have your name attached to it, because you are a board member instead of an owner. And therefore, you're opening a new store under that corporation, that internet line, that computer, that IP address, even that server if you want. So from Amazon's perspective, there's no way they know who this is. They just see a corporation sitting there. See what I mean? And that's the easiest way. And if someone else in your corporation, their name can be the personal contact for that, but Amazon doesn't know that's you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does. Yeah. Interesting. So yeah, that's good to know for anyone out there who has multiple products. There is a way to be able to buffer that risk. Let's talk about some actual strategies now. People are excited. People are pumped up. What do you find to be, from your experience, some of the best strategies to make money on Amazon? You know, I had mentioned Kindle publishing. Amazon has actually a lot of various ways to make money. But what for you has worked best? I know you mentioned the FBA program.
Yeah, absolutely. So the biggest thing for me is finding a niche of a niche of a niche. So for example, I'm not going to focus on a broad category like, let's say, for example, kitchen products. So I sell in kitchen products. Some of our products are in that category. But that my focus is going to start with kitchen, which is nice because it's not gated when you start. Then I'm going to narrow down to, okay, do I want to do a silicone product, for example? And for a while, those have been very, very popular. Then from silicone, maybe I want it to be related to making cupcakes or, you know, baking type goods. And from there, cupcakes. And then from cupcakes, maybe it needs to be a specific category from there. So what I'm doing is I'm starting broad and I keep going down in the niches. And each time I'm using Amazal as my software to search. And when I find a potential product, what I love about Amazal, it's free software. You can get a free version of it, is it pulls in okay, let's just say the keyword is silicone batter mixer for cupcakes, okay? So I put that in. It's going to pull in all the different competitors who are selling that or something similar, and it's going to show me the ones who have a low BSR who are doing really, really well. Of those that have a low BSR who are doing really, really well, I'm going to say, okay, if I combine those, what is the total revenue per day coming from those? And for me, a minimum standard is 900 or above in the US. And it is, let me think here, 700 or above in the UK and 500 above in all other Amazon marketplaces like Canada, Mexico, India, Italy, etc. Then I say, okay, I know there's a lot of money going into this niche. So I know that. So now I need to go through and look at what is the median reviews. So let's just say there's 10 top competitors for the silicone product. If the middle, let's say there's 10, if the middle, number 5 or 6, has under 500 reviews, I know there's a strong chance I can get a whole lot of reviews on mine and stand out with that social proof. And on our team, we have a proprietary method that allows people to get legitimate Amazon reviews on their product without having to go do some crazy, shady discount kind of tactic that, a lot of people will use. And I understand why they do it because it's hard, but to get that within a few weeks, 30 to 40 reviews, which gives you tons of social proof.
Oh,
now
wow.
you have these 5, it's incredible. So, and we teach that on our program. So once I know that the median reviews are not too high, now I understand, okay, I have a chance at competing. So my next question is not to sell that. And this is where a lot of sellers, they'll mess up. They'll try to sell that. Like, oh, they're doing it, I'll do it, I'm going to win. Well, you're not going to win because they're ahead of you. So I have to now go look at the reviews and read all the critical ones and say, oh, so I've noticed 40 times people are saying that these mixers are too thin and they're snapping. Okay? And 30 times people say, I wish they'd come out in the color green because it has sort of an, a green environmental look. So now I'm going to build mine from a supplier that's green and thicker. I've differentiated based on what the customer said on the review. You see? Yeah. That is how I make money on Amazon. It's differentiating, finding a better way of doing, and I'm getting that data directly from the customer, people who are writing the reviews. And you have to be careful because a lot of the one-star reviews are competitors, and they're so negative, you're like, that's BS. You didn't even use the product. Like, no, I hate the product. Like stupid, dumb product. But you can tell if it's a 2 or 3 star. You can tell, like, they share it. Usually it's a story, like, oh, I tried it. Here's what happened. Here's what I liked. Here's what I didn't. That's probably a legitimate review. And that gives me precious market data to build my product.
So when you're going in and you're looking at these reviews and whatnot, you want to see a pattern, right? You don't want to just see one review that says it. You want to see multiple reviews. And now you figure out what the problem is. Maybe you have to build it a little thicker or a different color or something, right? Maybe it just has to be changed completely. Maybe the concept just isn't there. What's your next step? You go over to your supplier and you start letting them know, like, hey, can you do this? Or asking them, can you do it in this color? I know a lot of people, they go through Alibaba. Do you recommend going through Alibaba as well? And give some tips for actually communicating with a supplier to make those adjustments to improve on that product.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And if you don't mind, I just want to make one more sub comment off the last thing that will help explain this better. Okay. When I'm differentiating, there are 2 kinds of differentiation. And by differentiation, I mean I'm going to make this better than anyone else. I'm going to make it better based on what customers want. There is the perceived value and there's real value. So for example, if I go to a listing on Amazon, the photo is perceived value because it's not tangible. I can't touch it. I can't feel it. It's just telling me what it's. Right. For the packaging, perceived value. Apple products have amazing perceived value with the packaging. Some people keep them, the boxes. At the beginning stages, I kept mine. But after I worked for Apple, I was like, yeah, of course, I'm not going to keep that box. I throw it away. But it's funny, the fact that the box was made beautifully still makes me want to buy the product more, even though it doesn't have any practical value at all. Perceived value is a much less costly way to differentiate a product than real value. Real value would be things like the material, the thickness, the size, the mechanics, that kind of stuff. Whereas perceived value would be maybe the color, the packaging, the photos, the copy, stuff that isn't actually practical, but it makes the appearance nice. It's like perceived value is sort of like the makeup, and the real value is the face. That's another way to put it. Okay. Have to do that in order to make sure this is important to knowing how much I want to invest. If I think this product is greater risk, my first batch I order from the supplier will be strong on the perceived value. But if I'm like, man, this is a slam dunk, low risk product, no moving parts, super small and light, not a problem, I'm going to do the real value. I might even pay for the factory to create a new mold.
Oh,
And
interesting.
my fear is that factory, when they create a new mold, someone else could come along and buy it from the factory. I don't want to feed my
Oh,
competition. So what I'll do is in the mold, I will require them to put something with my logo. Let's just say it's a coffee mug or something
really?
in the mold, right, engraved. So that mold can only work for me and my brand. And if someone
Wow.
else, and if they sell it to someone else, and they might, and people have to understand the way Chinese suppliers work is a different code of ethics. This is nothing against Chinese. I flew to China to understand this better. I'm learning Mandarin for this reason, brother. But I have to understand that supplier could still sell that product with the new mold. But the difference is because it has my imprint on it, now I can combat that seller because I trademarked that. You see what I mean? So it protects me. So getting a new mold can be anywhere from $500 to $50,000. Not a great way to start if someone's starting off. But I'm just saying in the future, that is a way to get the real value boosted like crazy.
And by doing that, you're adding another barrier to entry. And as you know, the more barriers to entry, the less people are gonna say, I don't want to spend the $500 to $1,500
Exactly.
to have to go through that mold. I don't want to have to explain to the supplier how this seller did this and improved that. So, wow, that's I've interviewed so many Amazon sellers. I've never heard anyone say that before, which is really, really cool. Let me ask you right now. So you're big into private label. What do you think are some of the biggest mistakes that new people make when they start selling on Amazon? I know you mentioned not improving on the products, copy and paste. What are some big things? Obviously, maybe we could even talk about some mindset stuff, because it's like,
Sure.
there's people out there like you with coaching programs, courses that lay it all out, but yet some people, they start and they never launch that first product. What's going on from your experience after coaching, I think, thousands of people now?
You're 100% correct, brother, because a lot of people, they think if they have all the tactics, they will succeed. But what they forget is over here, you need the right mindset, the right character, the inner workings of your brain. And if you don't have this, this will never save you. And so we realized when we launched this coaching program, it was super tactical at the beginning. I realized people were stumbling because of a mindset like, oh, I found the perfect product, but I can't buy it. I can't. Why? Do you have enough money? I do. Do you have enough capital? I do. Why don't you buy it? Well, I don't know. I just keep second guessing myself. You have to take a risk, So we had to start coaching to mindset as well. And we call it warrior mindset training, which is part of what we do. Is it's super intermixed with life principles on how to succeed. But to answer your question directly, there are two big mistakes a lot of people make, myself included, especially in the early stages. One is to become emotionally attached to a product. I know, man, that of course we're going to be invested emotionally because we spent money and time. It's like you're married to the freaking product. But we have to be willing to let it go when it's time to let it go. We can't be so attached to it or a version of it that we start not hearing what the customers are saying.
Oh,
And if the
wow.
customers are saying, man, this thing keeps breaking, then I need to shell out extra money to make sure it's not breaking. Or if they're saying, I wish it had a different color, I need to learn how to upload a flat file to do variations if that's what's necessary to do it. So I cannot let myself be blinded by my own preferences. That's number one. Number two is trying to sell a product instead of a solution. This is huge, man. Like, I am not selling, check this out. If I sell these, I am not really selling a marker. And even though it does this, it doesn't work very well. This isn't my product. I am not actually
One
selling a
star.
marker. Exactly. I am selling a device that allows me to teach from a whiteboard. This is helping me teach.
Oh,
That's
wow.
what someone sold me. They sold me the ability to teach better. I have to think that way. In other words, if anyone, myself, anyone finds a product that's selling well, our goal isn't to sell oh, they're making money, I'm going to do it too. We have to ask, why the freak did they buy it? It's like, I don't know if you were there during this part, but earlier today, I did a show with Andy Slamans, and I used this shirt as an example. When I got up this morning, I put this shirt on for several reasons. Number one, I didn't want to be naked on video. That'd be a little embarrassing. I
Not
didn't
on
want
the
to
first
freak
video,
out.
man. Maybe the second or third video.
Okay. Exactly. You got to get to know each other better first. Like, I interviewed him, but oh man, Seth. So one is I wanted to be clothed. Two, I wanted to be warm. Three, I think this shirt looks pretty cool. I mean, do you like my shirt, brother?
I like it, man. I tell you right now, it looks sharp.
Thank you. I like New York City. I was there for a week with my family. It was awesome. So there are three reasons I bought it. Those are three reasons someone might buy it. So when I sell a shirt on Amazon, I'm selling warmth. I'm selling to be clothed, to not be embarrassed. I'm selling style. I'm not selling a shirt. And most people, this is how they think. I'm selling a shirt. What that means is their mind is not thinking about the customer. They're thinking about the object, and they've put their hope in the object instead of the solution.
Wow.
And that, man, is so precious to me, because if I find an item that warms, everyone's buying items that warm a mug that holds coffee. Let's just say that, for example.
Right.
But no one's doing it for mugs that hold tea. Well, I'm not going to sell one that warms coffee. I'm going to do one for tea, because no one's doing it. I know the need is there because people are buying it, but I'm doing it in a different way. I'm thinking about why do they need it? Because they want the liquid to be warm when they taste it. That's what I'm selling. I'm not selling the warmer. I'm selling what it does. Brother, I'm telling you, man, when people understand, and sometimes I'll teach this to people, and like 2 months later, they'll say, oh my goodness, it just clicked. I get it now. Because I think we're conditioned to focus on the material, you know what I mean, so much that we forget the purpose. Once we get the purpose, man, it's so powerful. And now you can make some badass products. Go ahead, brother.
So once it snaps and you realize, wow, like I'm here to actually serve the customer, not to just focus on the product. What does that actually mean in the physical world? Does that mean, I mean, one thing that pops to me is like better copy, right? Better description, better title. What else can that mean? Does that mean like maybe you could share, how does that actually play out in the real world?
Yep, absolutely. So the first thing I'm going to do is, once I know exactly the kind of product I want to build and how, what the solution it's going to provide, I need to contact a supplier. And that supplier most likely is going to be in China. Sometimes it'll be South America. Sometimes it's going to be India, but usually it's going to be China. I'm going to find them on Alibaba. We actually have a team in China who actually helps with sourcing now, and we have one here in the US to really minimize that risk as much as possible. Literally, they work for us full time to help with that. But regardless, whether or not someone's leveraging that resource, and I built it for that reason, man, because this is such a risk, is I need to find someone. People don't like hearing this, but I'll say it, man, because I want to keep it real. Most of the people on Alibaba are trading companies. And let me also say, that trading company is 100% legit to work with a trading company. Most of the factories in China, I flew to China to find this out for myself, they speak in Chinese. So if we live in America and we're working with someone, they're speaking English, there's a 70% chance that company is not the factory. It's a middleman between me and the factory. So, and that doesn't mean it's wrong. And the fastest way to find that out is say, look, we want to do a factory inspection. So you hire someone who can do that, and they have to give you the address. And they go and they do it on video. So here you are in the US, you know, like on WeChat, and they're there, and you can literally watch them as they walk through, and like, oh, okay, that's interesting. You do have a factory, okay. You see what I mean? It really helps legitimize what you're doing. And in other cases, they'll say, actually, we aren't the factory, we're a trading company working with them. And that's not wrong. Sometimes that's what we need to get it sourced. So that the first thing I want to do is find out, is it a factory or a trading company? Second is I'm going to ask them to send me a sample of the kind of work they've already done. So I just get a sample, what is the quality? Then I'm going to send them technical drawings or ship a sample if I have a 3D model prototype to them and say, I need you to build this for me. I have to pay for it. Send it to me. If I like it, now we can start production. Then when we start production, I'm going to have them send me when they start production, the first one that comes off, I'm going to have someone there in China take pictures, check it, look at it, send me pictures to verify. If it's good, then they do the rest. And after they've done the rest, then I'm going to have someone in China go look at one of the post-production samples, make sure it's good, or even do a 20% check if it's a very complicated product. Then I will send, because I already sent 30% to the supplier, then I'll send the remaining 70% to have it shipped here to Amazon's warehouse. So I know that's a very broad ton of stuff, but in a nutshell, that's the process that I go through to de-risk myself as much as possible.
Wow, that's really cool. So you had mentioned that you had people that help with the sourcing. Is that included in your actual coaching program, or is that just for you only?
No, it's in the coaching program. So if someone gets what's called the Amazon Growth Bundle or the Amazon Growth Pro Bundle, and I could send you the link too, they get our team in China will work with our team in the US. They're both sourcing experts, and they're bilingual, which is awesome. They will find a supplier who can build whatever the product is you want. And they will send photos of samples, and they will even negotiate prices if they want that level of service for you as well. So at least you can rest assured, okay, I'm dealing with a true supplier, not someone who created an address on Alibaba, is claiming to be Gold Star, and they're actually a scam. And it helps a lot. And then we have other further services for shipping, product certification, all that stuff that comes into play. But this is like the first tier to at least de-risk. So at least they're working with a real supplier. And we send them the contact information. We don't act as a middleman like, oh, we'll do it for you. We put them in contact directly so they can handle that process.
So if someone was to just get started with Amazon private label, and they, instead of taking a course, they wanted to go through some type of coaching as well. And I just want to kind of talk about it because I know a lot of people who they take a lot of courses and stuff, but they don't get the result that they want at the end of the day. Let's just be real. Like, I've sold courses, I've affiliated with courses. Most people who buy a course, and I hate to say this as well, but since I'm with, Mr. Kniep it real, I'm going to Kniep it real right here. Most people don't even finish the course. They don't. Right. And it sucks because people, they want to change. They want to, it's like, I'll share this with you because I know you're into working out as well. I've been trying to lose weight and get in shape for the longest time ever. And it would just be up and down, but I would never get the results I wanted. You want to know what changed for me? It happened at the beginning of the year. I'm down over 30 pounds. I'm in the best shape that I've ever been in. I hired a personal trainer. And I can tell you right now, since then, I've hired a life coach, and I've realized that, and I've looked at all areas of my life. If I want to get to the next step, for me, maybe it's not for everybody. Maybe a course is great for you. Maybe you don't. Some people are just sharp and they're bright and they don't need anything. That's not me. I was always a C/D student in school. I always had a hard time learning. The personal training, the coaching worked for me. So how does it exactly work? Let's just say I'm brand new to private label. I've never done it before. Let's talk about your coaching a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the biggest parts to our coaching is the community. So this is not a plug and play, and this isn't wrong to do that. I'm not against it, but I'm just saying it isn't a plug and play course. They buy it, they never hear from me again. That's the end. It includes 4 hours of live group coaching every week. And these are with different coaches with different expertise. So one of those hours is me, and they can ask questions. It's interactive. Like this, we're talking, it's like this. Then the next hour is live Q&A. Then, 2 days later, it's for newbies. Then it's for international sellers, or if you want to go international. So we built it based on need. Like, what are people looking for? What are the help they need? Because our goal, man, okay, I'm going to share this. This is a brag, but I think it's okay to share. Just last week, someone launched their 2 first products. They are brand new to Amazon. They've been working super hard and planning this out. Yep. And this isn't always the results, but this is a really great example. Over 90,000 a month revenue in the last 30 days. I could send you the screenshot. And this person, like, I wouldn't even give their name because we said, hey, can we share? It's like, they'll share my name. Like, I understand. Like, crushing it out, and they're brand new. Like, and not everyone's doing that level. Some people it's going to be 500 a month. Some people 3,000. That's fine. But our goal is to make it so people actually succeed. And at the end of the day, if they don't succeed, it's because they didn't stick with it or they had the wrong mindset, not because we did not do everything we can to put fire under their butt, to show them how to do it, to teach them, to motivate them, to push them. Sometimes, and this is just my style, it's not being a jerk, I'll get in their face a little bit and like, look, you need to stop complaining. What you're saying is BS. Get going. Like, we have to be direct sometimes because this is life. People are taking their savings and saying, look, I'm going to invest in a product. Well, if you're going to do that, people, you've got to be ready. You have to be all in. You have to be willing to fail along the way. So going back to your question, community. If someone posts in a private group, it is not uncommon to get 20 to 40 to 50, often more, responses to that of help. Like just last night, I'm going through and oh my goodness, someone asked a question about their PPC. They had over 30 responses, and these aren't stupid responses. They aren't like ignorant. They're awesome, solid. And some of them are more emotional, like encouraging them, and others like, hey, try this, this work. And people say, I can't believe I'm in this community. It's like, it's awesome. So that kind of accountability with 8 coaches monitoring that, as well as me interacting, plus the 4 hours of live coaching every week, plus a ton more that we offer, evergreen videos, infographics, all that. It's incredible, man. It's like, it's not even like a coaching program. It's like a community of warriors ready to take on the world. That's what it's like to be in this program.
That's super cool, man. I like that. A community of warriors. Now, does each person get a coach one-on-one as well, in addition to the group calls, or is the group calls essentially, is it a group coaching?
Yeah, so we have different programs. We have some very high-end programs that are much more expensive if they want a ton of one-on-one. But our most popular program, the one I mentioned to you, it's called the Amazon Growth Bundle.
Got it.
It includes a 30-minute one-to-one, yes, at the beginning. From then on, it is 4 hours a week of live group coaching. So, for example, it'd be me, and then the other people in this room, and we're training and teaching. And then tomorrow, like on a Wednesday, we have 3 guys who do extremely well, and they're also coaches, and it's a live Q&A. Then the next day, it's for newbies. If you're brand new, you have simple questions, we're here to help you. So all of that is group coaching. Then any questions people have, they post it in the private group. And if it has hashtag coach next to it, all the coaches, myself included, know we have to respond to that within 24 hours so no one is left out. And a lot of times the whole community jumps in like, hey, they answered, you're good. Like, it's that kind of community. It's awesome. And as we're growing, people from our community are becoming coaches because we're seeing, wow, there's some really genuine quality people here who can help others. Incredible, man. It's like a, I don't know if family is the right word, but it's like a big family of people on fire to help each other succeed.
Cool. Awesome. So I will definitely link up that information down below, your website, your YouTube, the coaching program as well, because I know I get a lot of people asking for more kind of like one-on-one, kind of like with me. Like, I just needed the personal trainer. I needed it to lose weight. I just needed, and it was really motivation. That was my biggest, it's sad to say, but I think the difference, between when I was dirt broke to, doing over $100,000 a year, it was all mindset. A lot of it, there's obviously some skills that you've got to learn on the way. That's big, man, having that accountability and everything. I want to ask you, do you have any final words, any wisdom, any advice you have for people who, maybe they were in a position that you were in, and maybe they're working a job, or maybe they're not happy with their income, with their business, with their life, coming from where $24,000 in debt to now, over $1 million, which is crazy. Might have to change the title on this one. What advice do you have for people, man?
There's 3 words that I love. One is imagine, second one is believe, and the third is do. So first we have to imagine. We have to create, like, dream. What would I love to happen? Oh, it would never happen. Oh, let's just go. It's okay. Just imagine it could happen, right? Then moving from there to you have to believe it can happen. And then what are you going to do about it? A lot of times it's tempting, and this was me for years, man, is I wanted to stay in the imagine stage, but that's frustrating. Or then move to the believe, I can happen, but I'm not actually making action. We have to move from believe, or from imagine to believe to do. And if people actually believe really, truly they can do this, it's just a matter of time until they will. I tell people, if you just 2 hours a day, give it 2 hours a day, Monday through Saturday, take Sunday off, just focus on nothing but your online business. It's only a matter of time until you're going to find your way to success. It might be fast, it might be slow, it's going to have twists and turns. That's all okay. We all have crazy, messy days. It's okay. But what matters is that you keep going. Don't give up, and you have to believe. If you believe, eventually your beliefs become reality based on your action.
Yeah, like you said, just keep failing. There's a great book I read. It was called Success Principles by Jack Canfield. And one of the titles of the chapters was Failing Forward. I believe that's what it was. And there's only so many times you could fail forward, right? Believing in yourself, and you're taking action. You imagine it, you believe, you take action. There's only so many times you could do that and fail until you finally stumble upon success. Sure. And I don't know. I've seen people who they weren't the brightest. Maybe they weren't the best looking. Maybe they had a rough past. They were, I know a kid who he was always getting in trouble in school all the time. He wasn't the brightest. He was always just screwing around. And now I think he owns 4 gyms in the area now. Super successful, always on TV, like great shape, very happy, wonderful, like wife and everything. And it's just like, wow, like doesn't matter about your past. It's what you decide to do today. And in 2017, going into 2018 with technology and Amazon and the internet, it might have taken 10, 15 years in the past to change your life. Now you can change your life overnight within a year or two. So amen to that, brother. Thanks for coming on. Again, everybody, be sure to check out Seth Kniep on YouTube, justonedime.com. Check out his coaching program as well with 8 coaches, which is phenomenal. And yeah, thanks for coming on, man. Really appreciate it. And man, you dropped a lot of gold nuggets tonight.
Hey, thank you so much for having me, man. I'm glad we were able to do it. And I'm honored. Like I said at the beginning, I'm honored to be on your show. I watched your show way, way back before all this started for me. So it's super cool to be here. So thank you. And I love what you do. And I really appreciate it, man.
Hey, man, I got to get a whiteboard behind me too, man. You got to drop. I'm going to send you the link to this microphone after, and you're going to have to send me the link to that whiteboard, or else I'm not sending you the link.
Deal. You got it.
All right, brother. Thanks for coming on, my man.
All right. Take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.